We are calling this meeting to order. This is the North Greenwood Citizens Advisory Committee. Today is June 3rd, 2026. Welcome everyone for being here. So just a few housekeeping items. At this moment in time, none of the restrooms in the building are functioning. So, yes, unfortunately, they're in the process of being worked on right now. So if anything changes, we will definitely let you know. In the meantime, the closest restrooms will be at the library across the street. So just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that matter right now. Agendas are available at the front. If you have not received one and you would like to get one, please do so now. If you would like to speak during the Citizens to be Heard session of our meeting, please be sure to fill out a comment card in order to do so. So moving on, I would like to take a moment to allow all of the committee members to introduce themselves, starting to my far left.
Hello, I am Hannah Menard with Clearwater Brewing Company.
Marilyn Turman with the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition.
I'm Kennard Robinson, your committee chair.
Chancellor Davis of Mother's Arms.
Jason Corbett, Let's Go Cardiff.
Thank you very much. Is it working? Mic check. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So moving on to our. What was that?
Does it work?
Hello?
That was scary.
That was. Hold on, the mic actually cut off.
Turn the game.
So I just cut the mic back on. Hello? Can you hear me? Is it too much? All right. Maybe turn it up a little bit more, and I'll try to temper my voice so it doesn't kick back too much. Mic check, 1, 2.
It's just being weird now.
Yeah, the mic is cutting on and off. Mic check.
It's cord sensitive, it seems like.
Okay. Mic check. All right, the mic just cut off again. So maybe it's a battery thing, or we can just run it without a microphone.
Can you hear back
Okay, can you hear me back there? All right, perfect. So we'll move forward without the microphone. So moving into the approval of the minutes for our previous meeting. So first, I would like for the committee to review the minutes from our March 4th, 2026 meeting, and I would like to have a motion to approve as presented.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the March meeting.
All right.
I second the motion.
Second? Okay, so we have a proper motion by committee person Turman and a second by committee person Davis. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll proceed with the vote. For all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So moving on to the minutes from our April 15th, 2026 special CAC meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
A motion to approve.
Awesome, thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
All right, so it's been properly motioned and seconded. So motioned by committee person Davis and seconded by committee person Menard. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. So now we are moving into the citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. If you wish to speak, please come forward. When recognized, state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes. Comments should be directed to the committee as a whole. No response or debate will occur during this portion of the meeting. Is there anyone?
Good evening. My name is Barbara Story, President of the Clearwater African American Foundation, Inc. Mission: memorialize, preserve places, spaces, landmarks of African Americans here in Clearwater, Florida. First, I'd like to thank you for the beautiful mural on North Greenwood Library. The community and Morris family are grateful, and the Clearwater African American Foundation is asking for the library to be renamed Christine Wigfall Morris Library in honor of Clearwater's first African American librarian. The Morris family is fully supporting this initiative here today, this evening. We're also asking for a Florida historic marker for Breeden Community Pride Nursery and historic designation for the long-standing building over 60 years in the community. On July 19, 2023, Ms. Izzy Gully, PCS Pinellas County Schools Assistant Superintendent Clinton Herbick, and myself went before the Pinellas Historic Preservation Society with Tom Schofield and Allison Dolan, asking the Preservation Society to fund 2 Florida historical markers, St. Matthew Negro Cemetery and Pinellas High School. Both were approved. St. Matthew's marker was placed on hold until the legal case was resolved. Pinellas High was placed forward. On July 19, 2026, will be 3 years later, and we still don't have a date when the marker will be completed and delivered. An email communication from Brian Albrecht, CRA Specialist on March 17, 2026, is the Clearwater Community Redevelopment Agency is not privy to the state approval process for the most accurate and detailed information on the review timeline or any specific requirement. The Florida Division of Historical Resources is the best point of contact. That is what was in the email. They oversee the statewide marker program and can provide direct guidance. We are respectfully asking Assistant City Manager Battle to follow up on our request for completion.
Is this in the same email or is this something different?
Excuse me?
Is this in the email or are you asking this out loud now?
I'm asking out.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still reading from email. It's okay.
He's taking up my 3 minutes.
All right. Give me 20 seconds, man.
We are asking Assistant City Manager Battle to follow up on our request for completion and delivery date of the Pinellas High School Florida Historic Marker. And the other thing is, why is there no Juneteenth celebration in Clearwater this year? The community is asking. And thank you so much for your time, and thank you for this meeting.
You can just sit it right here.
Any questions for me?
Not necessarily true.
No, we don't have any
I'll
questions at
comment.
this time. Thank you.
When can I expect feedback, please?
Well, that is something that we will have a discussion with city staff about, and we'll try and figure out and have some answers for you.
Another question, one last question. Are these meetings being taped, recorded?
Yes, there's an audio recorder right here.
Okay, so if I needed a copy of the minutes, I could get, of the recording, I could get that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not a
All right,
problem.
thank you so much.
Can I talk about Juneteenth? Do you think I need to?
We can save that for
Sure.
the board members.
Just talk since she has to.
Okay, yeah, we'll save that for board members. All right, thank you. Are there any other public comments from anyone? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, thank you very much. We'll be moving on to the next item on our agenda under new business. Item 4.1, the North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area Commercial Grant Program, consideration of staff recommended revisions and clarifications.
Good evening, Vicki Shire, CRA Division Manager. Staff is presenting proposed updates to the North Greenwood CRA Commercial Program Guidelines for review and consideration. These updates are included in your binders. The proposed revisions were developed in coordination with the City Attorney's Office and are intended to provide additional clarity regarding the administration of the program and disbursement of grant funds. The updates include the following. Under section 3 and 7, staff clarified the circumstances under which grant funds may be dispersed directly to approved licensed contractors or vendors, as well as the reimbursement process and payment procedures. Under section 11, staff clarified the circumstances under which funds may be dispersed and provided additional clarification regarding applicant and property owner's responsibilities under the program. These revisions are intended to make the program easier to understand, improve consistency, and provide greater transparency for the applicant and CRA. Staff is requesting that the CAC review the proposed updates and consider making a recommendation to the CRA Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions from the committee concerning the recommendations and revisions on the commercial grant?
So is it saying that now, instead of putting the burden on the applicant, it's now, it just goes through the contractor, so that they don't get.
For the North Greenwood commercial grant, it usually goes through the applicant, but we added this verbiage in there just in case if we have to pay the vendor or the contract directly, we can now.
And then
It
that
wasn't
doesn't-
stated before.
Yeah, and
So now
that
it's given us
doesn't
every
affect-
opportunity, if something unfortunately happens where we can't pay the applicant directly, which is what we prefer to do, then we're able to provide the vendor if we need to as well. Excuse me, the contractor, I apologize.
That was my question. Same for the residential? Are we doing the same for residential?
That'll be on the next one, but
Gotcha,
very similar, yes.
gotcha. That was my.
Can the commercial, recipient, do they have a choice in whether they're the ones to be reimbursed or whether the contractor is reimbursed directly instead?
No, it's on a reimbursement basis and it's mainly given to the applicant. It's only on special occasions if we have to pay directly to the contractor.
Thank you.
And is there a specific list of situations that this special,
It says it at the discretion of the CRA
Okay.
director.
okay, so it's looked at on a case-by-case
Yes, sir.
basis, okay. Maybe in an hour, so they're still not fixed. Okay, all right. Any other thoughts or questions? No? So, thank you for that. So with that being said, we will need to have, a motion, to approve. Oh, okay. Okay, so thank you for that. So with that being completed, we will need to have a motion to approve the revisions within the commercial grant program. So do I have a motion from anyone?
I make a motion to approve.
So we have a motion from Councilperson Menard. Do I have a second? It's been properly seconded by Councilperson Corbett. All those in favor to move forward?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Forgot citizen comment.
Okay, I'm sorry. Are there any citizen comments? Seeing none. Moving forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right, so now we will be moving forward to the next item on our agenda, providing feedback on the North Greenwood CRA communications and outreach strategy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. My name is Tasha Hatley. I'm a CRA specialist in communications and media. And tonight I would like to walk you through the North Greenwood communications and outreach strategy. So this strategy is intended to serve as a framework framework for how we communicate, share information, and engage with the North Greenwood community. While many of these communication efforts are already being established, this strategy provides a roadmap for how those efforts can work together and better serve the community. This strategy is intended to be a living document, and it's intended to evolve through feedback from the CAC and our community members, so we're working with it, and we love your feedback. The presentation follows the same format in your document, so in your booklets, you should have the communication strategy. The presentation follows along with that strategy, and we're just gonna go through the pages together.
Do you know what page that's on, please? So we can-
Good question.
That helps us as you all begin to speak. We don't know exactly where you're starting.
So there's a section. I
Gotcha,
don't know
thank you.
exactly.
Got it. That's fine. You're good.
Alright, so what you'll see is the PowerPoint slides, and then the communications plan, I believe, is behind the PowerPoint. So I'll be going through the pages, and then we'll talk about and receive feedback. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so the North Greenwood Communication and Outreach Strategy is a framework for improving communication, increasing community engagement, and supporting the continued growth and success of North Greenwood. Some of our strategy goals is expanding communications across multiple channels, increasing awareness of redevelopment initiatives, encouraging participation and community input, and building relationships through outreach and partnerships, along with showcasing North Greenwood's stories and progress. So our vision is to foster a connected and informed North Greenwood through through transparent communication, relationship building, and consistent outreach. So we have 5 core focus areas, which is transparency, community engagement, which is encouraging participation and dialogue, trust and relationship building, being more community-centered, so focusing on community identity, needs, and priorities, and strategic coordination, aligning across departments and partners. And so on page 3, in your communications plan, so how about this? We'll just get right to the communications plan. If you want to make notes on specific slides, then you can do that, but let's just go to the plan and you'll be able to find the pages better. Right here.
Okay.
Yep.
It's right after the PowerPoint.
Okay, okay.
There you go.
Right here.
Look at that. Okay, thank you.
Yep, got it? All right, we're all good. Okay. So more information about this is on page 3, but this is an area we're gonna build out. I just wanted you to know where this breaks down in your plans. Stakeholders. So our efforts are intended to reach and engage a diverse group of stakeholders, such as residents, businesses, community organizations, CAC members, and city departments and internal partners. This is where I would like for you to turn to page 5. So successful communication requires a collaboration across multiple city departments and divisions. So this is a group effort with collaboration with neighborhoods, public communications, economic development and housing, parks and recreations, do I need this mic? No. Planning and public works and police. We're all working together to implement this strategy and be subject matter experts in what we're good at. Dissemination of information. So this strategy is intended to improve access to information and strengthen engagement across multiple platforms. So ways that we want to disseminate information is North Greenwood CAC meetings, CAC board engagement, direct mailers, open office hours, social media and website communications, community digital newsletters, boots on the ground outreach, community partner networks, flyers, handouts, informational materials, and we also want to tell stories and have community highlights. All right, if you could turn to page 6 in your document, this is when we're gonna start really analyzing parts of this strategy. So our North Greenwood CAC meetings, so these are meant to be quarterly meetings to serve as a primary communication engagement tool by providing redevelopment updates, project information, community discussions, resident feedback opportunities, and public participation and engagement. I'm gonna turn to the page myself. So if you can just take a moment to look at 5A, it breaks down the CAC meeting in more detail. And pretty much what I have here is like a timeline of how we're gonna implement communications until the day when we have the meeting. So for the people who don't have access to the plan, I'll just read it out loud. So for our timeline, we want to have our topic development 5 to 6 weeks out. So that's identifying meeting topics and identifying our speakers who are going to come, messaging and graphics. So we want to coordinate with public communications to get all of our graphics together and all of our materials ready about 3-4 weeks out before the meeting. Promotion, so 2 weeks out, you guys should be receiving newsletters, and if you're not subscribed to our newsletters list, please talk to Brian to subscribe, and that way you can have more digital access of obtaining information on North Greenwood. But that's not the only way we're communicating. There's other ways as well. I'll go through that. And final push, 1 week out, we want to be stronger and getting this information out to the community a week before the meeting. Are there any comments or feedback on this timeline or how this is built out? Again, this is an organic document, it's a living document, and it's always evolving. All right. North Greenwood CAC Board Communications. So we aim to strengthen communications, preparedness, and coordination between CRA staff, CAC board members through meeting preparation materials, project updates, communication resources, coordination and collaboration efforts. So this is preparing our CAC members with the materials. We aim to strengthen that communication because if you're informed, it makes everything flow smoothly. So if you look at page 7, or page 11, my apologies, page 11 in your communication strategy, it breaks that down. And there's more information on the back as well. So I'll just read out loud some of our communication methods, and this is on the back of page 11, so page 12. It's email communication, phone communication, face-to-face communication, and agenda packets and information, such as the ones that are in front of you. So I'll give you a moment to look that over, and if you have any questions or comments or feedback, I will receive them. Yes.
Can you use the microphone so we can't hear you?
Can everyone hear me okay? Is it better with the mic? Okay.
Are there any questions?
Flipping through and
Questions? No.
No questions, I just have a comment though.
Yes.
Timeliness is my biggest issue, because working on tons of things and just trying to make sure, getting an opportunity to go through everything, so we can,
understood.
yeah, that would be it. And maybe increasing the font size on like some of these, like these here for us seasoned folk, yeah.
Noted.
Thank you.
So timeliness and increasing font size.
Yes,
Got it.
please, thank you.
So am I correct, that the development phase is 6 weeks out, but by the time we get it, it's about 2 weeks prior is what you're gonna aim for?
That's
Is that
the
right?
goal.
Okay.
And if that timeline, and if there's something we can do that's better, we're all open for suggestions.
I think 2 weeks instead of a day is awesome. Yeah, I mean, that gives me, I
I
can
agree.
pluck out a day in there,
Yes.
somewhere in that 2 weeks, or, a couple days, but we would appreciate that, thank you.
Yes.
Understood. All right. Open office hours. Now I gotta make sure I'm on the right page. All right. So open office hours supports direct community engagement through scheduled meetings with CRA staff. So this is the opportunity for CRA questions and answers, grant program information, redevelopment updates, resource assistance, and community feedback. And on page 10, you will see more information about how that's broken down, some of the services that are offered, and just our draft and appointment scheduling. And if there's no feedback on that, I can move to the next slide.
So I do have a quick thing to point out. I think the office hours idea is a great option. One thing I wanted to be mindful of is that people have the information that they need in order to schedule that time, right? And then depending on the individual or group, depending on if there are any mobility issues, you know, coming to the CRA office, if maybe there's an opportunity for the CRA staff to maybe come here to meet with them. Also just something as a possibility to keep in mind.
Understood. Did you have something to say? All right, Vicky has something to say on that?
So the open office hours, we're actually looking to be within the North Greenwood CRA community, so
Okay.
we do have easier access. Myself and Marilyn last week or 2 weeks ago went out and kind of saw some best practices where to have it at, here, the library. We're still working on the best location, but we understand that we need to be within the community, and that's something that we're aiming to do. We're just in the process of working on that now. And then the hours will vary based on peak hours for the community, what's best for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other comments, questions, feedback? So another method is through our North Greenwood digital newsletter. Some of you may have received our newsletter, but this is intended to be a quarterly digital communication platform through the city to share community updates, redevelopment progress, upcoming meetings and events, grant opportunities, and community success stories. If you would like to subscribe, you can visit our website at myclearwatercra.com and scroll to the bottom to subscribe.
So I do have a question. So considering that the CAC meeting is a primary point of communication with the community, and that takes place quarterly, would it maybe make sense to have the digital newsletter monthly, just so that there's a more frequent or something in between CAC meetings to be able to disseminate information?
I can definitely note that.
We can attempt to do that.
Okay.
If there's staff capacity, we'll do our best.
Okay.
Maybe bi-monthly.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking there's something in between. Any other thoughts or questions?
Oh, this is on page 7 in your communication strategy. You wanted to review it? So I put a note here for a monthly to explore what those options could look like. All right. Any other questions before I move on? All right, great. Direct mailers. So these direct mailers is at an as-needed basis. So this is good for sharing information on community meetings, redevelopment projects, grant opportunities, program announcements, and neighborhood notifications. So this is for people who don't really use the more digital access to communication. And this will be great for when we have like hurricane updates from the city and people don't have access to the internet to get that information. So direct mailers will come in handy for that important information that needs to get sent out to the community. You can view this in depth on page 8. So again, this is at an as-needed basis, but in your strategy, it gets more in depth in some of the things that we could send out by direct mail. And for people who aren't looking at the plan, some of those materials can be meeting notices, project updates, grant program flyers, community resource mailers. or feedback?
Comment.
Yes.
Yeah, comment would be, when we look at how do we connect with people in the community, the fact that, because we have a number of community events, which has been really good to have someone there that's disseminating information, say a vendor space. In October, I know we've done the advertising there. Am I getting ahead? I didn't want to get
I
it.
think that's my next slide.
That's the next
Go
one.
ahead.
Look at that. Okay,
Yeah.
good deal, good deal.
We'll probably slide after.
Okay.
All right. North Greenwood Highlights is another way to share community stories. So this is a more personable way of sharing stories like community spotlights, neighborhood achievements, redevelopment milestones, business spotlights, community identity. You can see on page 9 where it goes more in depth on that. So future content will include resident and business stories. I've already read it on the PowerPoint, but these will also be as needed. If a recurring thing could happen, that's something that's up for discussion, but again, the staff capacity and that's something we can review. But for now, it's for an as needed basis. Any comments or feedback on the North Greenwood highlights? Great. All right, here's the part you were talking about, Marilyn. Boots on the ground outreach. So direct outreach provides accessibility of information to the community in person. So some of our distribution methods will be community events, neighborhood engagement, door-to-door outreach, and community organizational partnerships. On page 13, it goes more in depth on what that could look like. So while you're reviewing that, I'll just read the first paragraph of this plan so our audience knows what you're reviewing. So boots on the ground communication focuses on direct in-person outreach to ensure information reaches residents and businesses who may not engage through digital channels. This approach supports visibility, accessibility, and trust by meeting the community where they are.
Love it.
Any comments, feedback? What success looks like. Residents and businesses know where to find information. I'm gonna start that over. So what success looks like is that residents and businesses know where to find information. Community members participate in meetings and programs, awareness of available opportunities and resources the community knows of, and stakeholders. Stakeholders remain connected to redevelopment efforts. Community voices are heard and valued, and achievements are celebrated. And on page 14, you can see more of what our metrics could look like. These are just areas that we're gonna evaluate to see if success or goals are being met. And it continues on page 15, the metrics and growth page. Any comments, feedbacks? Feedback.
I think this is a lot of really good information.
Thank
For
you.
putting this together.
Thank you. Again, this is a framework for us to build from. It's a moving document, it's an organic document, and it's changing, ever changing. But this is our foundation for now and how we want to strengthen our communication.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments?
I just want to thank the staff for, I know that was a lot of work. Thank you all for putting that together. That is most important that we have, that we're communicating with the community so we know what's going on, the transparency and all those wonderful things you talked about. So thank you all for what
Thank you,
you've done.
thank you. I do have one question for you. Knowing that this is a living, breathing document that's going to continue to evolve, does that also mean that we're going to have just like a touch point every CAC meeting just to check in like how things are going, if there's any other feedback, as we continue to evolve?
That is something I can go back with my team with to see how that can be delivered.
Mhm.
But
I can answer that. Jesus Nino, Sierra Executive Director. Natasha did a fantastic job, but like she said, this is a living document. It's already being implemented. We just want your feedback, and we'll touch base every meeting. If you have any touch base, any questions on our implementation, you let us know how to make it better. For instance, right now, we're gonna start contacting also all the religious institutions within the North Greenwood area. That's a means for us to disseminate information as well. So any ideas, feedback, we would appreciate it at all CAC meetings.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good job, Tasha.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you think with your outreach tools and placements, like with the flyers, the door hangers and stakes and yards and things like that, that maybe we can do some kind of collaboration as far as getting maybe some of the youth to be able to do some of this physical work so that they are a part of the community?
It's a great idea.
It is a great idea.
Yeah, that's something that I can go back to my team with and see about building out, but I like that, thank you. Any other comments or feedback?
Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. So that concludes new business. So now back to our agenda. We are moving into old business items. So the first item in that section, 5.1, updates on the Grove at 1105 development. Thank you, thank you.
That's in addition to what's in the packet.
I'm just pulling up the presentation. Can you hear me? Okay. Yes. Can you hear me? Yay! I'm just pulling up the presentation, but while I do that, not that she needs introduction, but I would like to introduce Ms. Jai Henson with the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition.
Hello, Jai.
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing this evening?
Good evening.
Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Is that all right? As stated, thank you all so much for having us here tonight. Thank you all, city employees, everybody that has had a part of this. As indicated, my name is Jay Henson. I am the president of the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition. I'm also the founder and executive director of Arts for Life Academy and all the iterations of after-school summer camp programs, performing arts entities, Chocolate Nutcracker Productions, Family Blessing. We've been in the community for 35 years, providing services to our children and families. So I'm very happy to be here tonight to talk about the Village at the Grove project. It has been moving forward for quite a few years. There's been a lot of work that has been done from many entities coming together. It's a beautiful example of what community collaborations and partnerships can look like. And so I'm very happy that we're here to talk about some updates and where we are at this point. So as you can see, the vision for the Village at the Grove is a place-based economic development project designed to transform underutilized property in North Greenwood into an active, culturally rooted small business village. And this village is scheduled to have 15 container units, 10 small businesses, shared courtyard and event space, and business development support. The historic disinvestment has limited accessible commercial opportunities for local residents and emerging business owners. And that is why we are conducting this project and why it matters. The Grove creates affordable business opportunities, economic mobility, community ownership, and neighborhood revitalization. So this consists of small format container retail, lowers entry costs, shortens build timelines, and creates flexible commercial space. And that is why this container model works. And there have been several around the country, and we have had the opportunity to visit some of these entities to get an idea of best practices and what makes it really work. So the benefits include, as indicated, a lower startup cost, shared infrastructure, and walkable village environment. And so those are some of the components that allow for businesses, especially small businesses in the community, to thrive and to become more visible and to share the cost of the investment for the businesses. The community impact will be business formation, job creation, neighborhood revitalization, minority business growth, cultural tourism, and wealth building. So some of the milestones we have accomplished at this point and will continue to accomplish. The tenant applications for the tenants that are gonna be in the units. That target date is June 2026, so we have had several applicants. We've had showcases where the applicants had an opportunity to speak to the community and talk about their business ideas. There was also a tenant selection event where we were able to have 5 or 6 businesses that have been selected for the startup of the village. On June 15th, Monday, right here, we're gonna have Taste of the Village. June 2026, it's gonna be it's gonna be 7 to 9 p.m. at the North Greenwood Rec Center. And you're gonna have an opportunity to experience some of the businesses that are gonna be in the village for startups. So you're gonna experience their food tastings, their showcases, some entertainment, networking, and investment opportunities. So all that's going to be happening right here. So, and as a matter of fact, we have been having a lot of different sign-ups and opportunities for the community to come out and get an understanding of what we're doing and the progress we're making. And this event has been one of the largest sign-ups. So we expect a lot of people to show up. So make sure that you get the information, you sign up, so that you'll be able to be a part of the tastings. The training program begins in June for the businesses that are going to be located inside the village, and lease executions are scheduled for July 2026, infrastructure completion September 2026, marketing launch the fall of 2026, a soft opening in November, and a grand opening in January. So that's what we're looking for, and that's what we're planning on. And as you know, things happen, but it's good to have a scheduled time and date so we can anticipate a very large celebration for this grand opening in July 2027. Oh, I just talked about this. The Tasting of the Village, got ahead of the information. But, so that's the flyer for it. I'm sure you're gonna be seeing it around the community, June 15th. It's coming right up, so make sure, as indicated, that you sign up for that. So the support for this vision is a $100,000 capital campaign. And we have several different sponsorship opportunities. We have the Founder Circle for $10,000, the Village Builder, $5,000, the Legacy Partner, $1,000, Name on the Wall, $500, Friends of the Grove, $250, and Wear the Vision, $25. So you'll be able to get different paraphernalia that supports the opportunity and lets other people know that you are supporting the village and the concept. Ways to participate: you can make a direct contribution, you could sponsor a giving tier, you could underwrite a project component, you can sponsor a legacy brick, become an event partner. So if you want to know different ways that you can donate and be a part of the fundraising efforts, the address is www.cult2020.org/donate, and there's the QR code so that you can have the opportunity to make your support known. A lot of people talk about how they want to help and ways that things could be accomplished, but you know, we are at the point now where a lot of work has been done, and we are at the point where there are funds that need to be raised to ensure things are done. Like you can see the use of the funds for landscaping and beautification, it's estimated $25,000. Sharing gathering spaces, estimated $20,000. Technology and security, $18,000. Business development, $15,000. Branding and placemaking, $12,000. Launch events, $10,000. So there's a culmination of expense of $100,000. And these are the things that are going to complete the project, but also give it the look that we are looking for, a professional look, and we'll have the opportunity to participate and contribute to that. And you know, although there's been a lot of talk about how we want to change North Greenwood, and here's an opportunity to participate in changing it and also have your name and your recognition that you participated in this effort to help make the community different. So, and if you look, there's a QR code again, community impact. So, why North Greenwood needs this? Historic disinvestment has limited accessible commercial opportunities for local residents and emerging business owners. Many entrepreneurs need affordable rent, visibility, and a supportive environment to grow. Why the container model works: small format container retail lowers entry costs, shortens build timelines, and creates flexible space. Shared infrastructure reduces operating burden while improving the customer experience. So all of these things coming together culminates in an opportunity for us to make a mark and to bring a change in the community and make sure that we are all part of it. Everybody can do something. And so, like they say, if not us, who? If not now, when? That's right. Y'all know that one?
Oh, yeah.
Let's all say it together. If not us, who? If not now, when? So I need everybody to get that QR code and do your contribution. Make sure that you have it on your phone, share it with other people. If you want to give $5, that's fine. $250. It would be nice to have a brick with your name on it, have your name on a wall somewhere. So this is the time to get in there and make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr.
Any questions?
No, the floor is not open for
Oh,
community questions.
excuse me. Any questions?
Are there any questions?
I just have a question. What does it mean by digital recognition? Or what is that?
Well, we're gonna have many opportunities to digitally recognize what's going on with the layout. We're gonna have the digital screens, there's gonna be entertainment, there's always gonna be things going on, so we'll have the opportunity to promote businesses, promote entities, and everybody will have a chance to be recognized through our digital platform and the digital space that we have internally, where we will be promoting.
And you said you've already chosen the, tenants selection
Some
is
of them, we've
complete?
had several showcases where people came and they displayed their products, and so there has been a selection. We have, offered the opportunity several times, and so the thing about this, like we talk about a process in motion, we are constantly looking for people, because the people that are coming in there now, they may be there for a year or two. The whole object is for them to build their businesses, to become secure, to be able to grow their businesses and go out and have their own businesses in other places. So they won't be coming there to stay forever. They will be coming there. We have all of the partnerships that are gonna help them establish their businesses and learn how to grow their businesses. So when they move out, then we will always have an open application process for the next vendors to be ready to move in. So it'll be a constant event of motion.
So is it a term, a certain amount of time, is it a time limit for being there in the container with the businesses, like they're only allowed a certain?
Well, we
years?
try to give them, it's kind of like, you know, when you have your baby after time and you feed them, now it's time to go to the next level, the next stage. Some may move faster than others, you know, some businesses, they're ready, they may have business experience already, so they get in there and next thing you know, their business is really blossoming and booming, and they can, you know, get their facility someplace else and grow their business, and some may take a longer time. So I think we talked about 2 years where we will be doing helping them to develop, but if it takes longer, we'll be there for that as well. Marilyn, do you wanna have any comments about how long they'll be able to stay?
You just said that, as you were saying, it will be, everybody's timeline will be a little bit different. And as they scale up, they will go on to other things and other people will come in. There's also, on the website, there is a link where you can, an interest form. So if you're interested in having a space there, we are creating a waiting list, because we have a waiting list right now. But it was, after working with St. Petersburg College, they made it clear to us that we had to have a certain percentage of food services and entertainment, the types of businesses, in order to make this successful, a successful destination place. And so, so it will vary. That timeline has not been officially set. You know, you can be here for 2 years and then you gotta go. We've not quite set that yet.
I do have a question. So I see on the front, 15 container units and then 10 plus small businesses. So does that mean that not every container is going to be filled by a small business, or are there going to be containers that are used for other things, or will every container be filled by a small business?
Well, all of the containers will be filled by small businesses, and we have different types of businesses.
Okay.
So some, you know, some are food, some, you know, maybe another type of resource, but there will be room for 15 businesses.
Okay, thank you.
Are we allowed to know what some of the businesses that's been chosen that's gonna be in there?
Oh, yeah, let's see, would you all like to know some of the businesses that we chosen? Okay. Read some of them. We have, Wind Down. Let me see. Yeah, sorry. We're just looking for the specific names. We do have it listed.
And though, Ms. J, I don't think those notices have officially gone out yet.
Ooh,
But,
okay.
yeah, but there are some anchor businesses.
To answer to your
Yeah.
question, yes, we do have some.
Still doing
The
interviews.
official notices have not gone out, so we're not gonna disclose it tonight, but you will know very soon.
Yes,
Especially when we have the tasting, because that's an indication of the businesses that will be there.
that's right.
So that's Monday, June 15th.
Any other questions? No?
So, I'm guessing, has the city money been, because you were allocated city money to build like the container village, right? has that all been depleted and we're kind of like, is there any concerns with working capital since you're raising funds, like, you know, long term, is there any concerns with like getting this thing up and running, or are we very, very close?
Well, we're very close, and you know, certain funds are allocated for certain things. So right now, we're looking at acquiring additional funds for some of these things like landscaping. But the funds that have been allocated by the city will be used for those things, and we'll begin to use those things shortly.
If I may, just for the record here, so Jesus again, CRA Executive Director, but it's CRA funds, $500,000 of capital that was provided through a grant agreement, basically to the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition. Basically, they draw upon those funds, $500,000 for engineering, architectural surveys, basically try to get the mini container village up and running. They're also allowed to do it in phases because we understand this project will cost more than $500,000. In addition, this is being constructed or will be constructed on top of city land plus CRA land. So it's a few parcels there. Right now they're going through the site plan review process. They're starting to submit those documents to be reviewed, and eventually we hope they get permit ready so that they can start the construction. But it's $500,000, and everyone knows that's not going to be enough. So that's why they're doing their campaigns.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Ms. J.
All right, moving on to agenda item 5.2 for us, a presentation of an overview of the Art Oasis Mural Festival.
Hello, my name is Eric Santiago, CRA Division Manager. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yeah.
This evening, I'm excited to provide a progress update on the Art Oasis Mural Festival, which has already brought 4 new colorful and creative murals to the North Greenwood community, and there's still more yet to come. So let's take a closer look at the murals that have been completed so far. The first mural is called Play, Learn, Grow. This is one that's located at Cherry Harris Park by artist Zulu Painter. And all the Instagram handles are also available on the slides for each artist. The next one is called Rapture of Community Love. This is at Safe House of North Greenwood by artist Carlos Jefferson. We also have Past Pages, Future Dreams. This is at the ICM Goalie Head Start Center by artist Sherrod X Sadlers. And then right across the street, we have Open Book Policy, which is at the North Greenwood Library by artist Ashley Casons. So those are the 4 that are done. Looking ahead, we do have 4 murals that will be coming soon. The one will be coming to the City of Clearwater Parks and Beautification Building. Just wanted to note that this one is technically outside of the CRA boundaries, so it is not being funded by the CRA, but it is being installed next. That one's actually starting very soon. Also, Let's Go Karting on Fort Harrison. We'll be getting that as well. All right, good fan there. And then one will be coming here to this building, the North Greenwood Rec Center, right, the storage building, technically right next door, and then Big Jim's Barbecue. So these are the 4 on the horizon. 3 of these are going to be done this summer. We do want to share that for this process, we did a community survey in order to get feedback on which theme the community wanted to see. We released this survey. We worked with the North Greenwood Library, the North Greenwood Rec Center to distribute that information, as well as through our newsletter online. And we also shared that at the COLC meeting and distributed it to the CAC board to get good community participation. The community voted. They had 7 options to choose from. That community selected theme is going to be, again, at the rec center on the building, just right there, right over there. So that's where that is gonna be. And the winning theme is community and neighborhood pride. So we will be working with an artist to come up with this concept. The top three were actually all neck and neck. So the other two, number two was kids and sports, and then three was nature and flowers. So we're gonna see if the artist can potentially incorporate the top three into their design as part of the overall arching theme of community pride. And again, three of those are gonna be done this summer, and then yeah, we look forward to celebrating these when they're all done. Any questions?
No questions. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the next item on the agenda, 5.3, updates on the Armory.
She looked to me and I was like, no, I think you already done that. Open it up, yeah.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Good evening.
Glad to be here. Al Donald, Assistant City Manager, City of Clearwater, to provide an update on our progress of working through a development agreement framework for the former Clearwater Armory for redevelopment of Yolama's Food LLC. At the last meeting that we had, which was the special meeting, a lot of conversation about the project, about the efficacy of the project, about its ability to fit into the community. Same types of conversations were had at the city commission, city council meeting as a city RA, and similar conversation came up. Eventually, they approved the development opportunity for this particular project. Staff being city staff, CRA staff, and the applicant being Yolama's Foods are working on a redevelopment agreement that includes the purchase of the property. As of today, we have drafted a development agreement, the form of one, city form of one, which includes the purchase as well as the obligations and responsibilities that we're gonna look for them to hold themselves to and us to be able to enforce under a contract in order to bring back for final review and approval by the CRA board. So today, my effort is here to give you a heads up and an overview of where we sit today. We've shared that document with the company. We're waiting for them to respond to it. At this time, the purpose of that particular memorandum is to provide the community, the company, as well as the CRA staff the opportunity to enforce said agreement under the terms and conditions outlined in it. The agreement itself will be between the CRA, the Clearwater CRA, and the St. Benedict's Holding Company LLC. They are the purchaser, they are also the applicant that made the proposal for the redevelopment of the property. St. Benedict's Holding LLC is also the affiliated company of Your Mama's Foods LLC. The agreement is also intended to support economic development, employment opportunities, and long-term investment for the North Greenwood community. This will be a 15-year agreement. So our purpose here in outlining it this way is that the agreement would be the mechanism in which we can enforce provisions under the agreement, have the ability for them to report on an annual basis, and also for you to document, be able to read through any of the established criteria that we've agreed upon and they've agreed upon and approved by the CRA board in terms of their performance requirements and metrics for the term of the agreement. As you know, and I don't have to tell this group, property redevelopment represents a significant opportunity in the community. It includes the fee simple purchase of the property, combined with property use restrictions, operational requirements, preservation standards, and enforcement mechanisms to ensure that the property remains an active contributor to the community. So let's get to some of the details of the agreement as outlined. Purchase price for the property is $2 million. That is what we asked for in the advertisement for purchase opportunity, and that is what we're going to get in terms of being from the development or from the developer of the business. The use of the property will be restricted to what they've said they're going to use the property as. So they've articulated their desires to use the property for warehousing and distribution on behalf of Yolanda's Foods. The agreement will be in effect for 15 years from the date of execution. In addition to that, any modifications to the building, site improvements, or any other activities in the building that they would want to change over the term of the 15 years, if they want to do that, and it is inconsistent, or we feel that there needs to be some type of amendment to the agreement, they would have to come back to the CRA board in order for that approval to occur, unless it doesn't meet the threshold test of that, and then we provide some ability from the CRA executive director to approve those said approvals. What I can tell you is that they can't make changes to the zoning and or use of it that would pass that threshold test without going through some other city type of regulatory process, meaning that planning, zoning, or any other type of regulatory entity could be involved. The CRA staff does not have the ability to make or approve building permitting, planning and zoning amendments, or any type of regulatory approval that is outlined by city code or by Florida statute. This requirement of preservation and development oversight is intended to ensure consistency with the CRA plan and preserve the historic character of the building and architectural integrity of the property. The next thing that we want to make sure that we capture in the agreement is the company's desire and efforts to hire people in the community. The proposal from the purchaser suggested they will hire between 25 to 30 employees based on growth projections and investment in the facility, as also including the growth of their business. During the term of the 15-year agreement, it would be our duty as the CRA, as the city, to enforce those provisions and try our best to hold them accountable to those job claims that they've said. What I can tell you is that that's definitely the heart of the effort. It's up to them to create the jobs, it's up to us to enforce the provisions of the agreement. At the same time, neither we nor the business owner can control the ability for growth to happen fast or slow within that 50-year time frame. So, as you can imagine with these types of agreements, there is a give and take, but there's also the ability for us to receive annual reports, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, in terms of us knowing what the progress and the status is of their efforts to accomplish this particular goal of the agreement. It's also, I believe, incumbent upon us to create pathways for them to accomplish those goals. This isn't a one-sided agreement. It takes all of our efforts in order to provide job opportunities to the target area, which is the North Greenwood CRA area. Employment and workforce participation activities are gonna be something that we're gonna figure out with them. We're gonna work hard. I like one of the things that I talked to the chair about in terms of first source hiring opportunities. Use all of the tools available to make sure that their jobs are advertised in the places where you know and we know people are looking for those jobs. Those types of things will be included in the agreement, as well as the annual reporting requirement. The next thing that we're highlighting in the agreement is the opportunity to repurchase the property upon the occurrence of several things. If if they become wildly successful, they're purchased by Kraft, Nabisco, or some other large company, and they pay them a lot of money in terms of the business opportunity, and they're asked to vacate that facility because they're asked to move, we will be looking for the opportunity to repurchase the property and reuse it for the purposes of redevelopment. First right of refusal, if we have the cash to do it, we'll definitely try to execute that, but at least it gives us the option to be in the conversation. We'd also be in the chain of decision-making in the event that the property would be sold or transferred in terms of ownership interest in the event that it is sold to someone else who wants to continue with the use of a distribution center and a warehousing type of opportunity. We want to make sure that the business replaced, if that is the case, business sold, still continues to carry out the tenants and the terms of the redevelopment agreement. As I spoke earlier about annual compliance reporting, this is a standard type of opportunity in these types of agreements. Annually, we want to get from the person who we have contract interest with an update on activities, where they stand with current operations. This is, high level type of things. We're not asking for audited financial statements or anything like that, but we are asking for them to give us basically an annual report, tell us where they stand in their current operations. Also, tell us where they stand in their employment efforts. That's really the key goal of that annual check-in point. And if there's opportunities for them to come present how great they're doing to this particular committee and to the community, we definitely want to encourage them to do that as well. Also, any issues they may be having with the building or property with respect to if there's anything that we need to assist them with, mainly on the permitting and regulatory side. After they purchase it, is theirs. We have no desire or need to do anything in terms of a tenant-landlord relationship, but just in case that comes up, we'd be here to help them with that, of course. Compliance and use restrictions with respect to the covenant on the type of facility that it is would be something that we would be looking for in that agreement. And also, if there are any further modifications or use changes, if they need to expand or if they have greater visions of what they have today, we would be looking for that type of information in our annual report. So, in summary, we believe that this particular structure that we're intending to negotiate and come to terms with the business owner is something that balances the private sector interest with public accountability. It'll be a document that'll be signed and executed by both parties, finally being approved by the CRA board. The enforcement mechanism would be staff. If we have to get legal involved in terms of any injunction, lawsuit, anything that's on the bad side of the business relationship, city attorney's office would be our legal counsel in that regard, as well as the representation from the business would be able to represent their interest in the event that there's something that we need to negotiate or figure out a solution to. At this point, the proposed structure we think ensures that the property remains in a proactive business stance. It will be going from the current use as a park and rec facility, operational and storage-wise, to be a productive asset in the community and remain consistent with the CRA plan in terms of using this particular part of the CRA district for industrial and warehousing use. At this time, I welcome any feedback that you have with respect to where we are with this project.
Well, I do want to.
And we also have representatives from the alums here. Mary, Mary from the league, so.
All right, thank you. So I do want to first say thank you to ACM Battle and the CRA staff. It was very important to me to make sure that as this process is in conversation and moving forward, that we did our best to make sure that not only is the community included in the conversation, but to be sure that there are certain things within the agreement to the best of our ability to be able to have some sort of recourse and make sure that that the community and people within the community are active not only in the process, but when it comes to the jobs, have an opportunity to get the jobs. So basically, ACM Battle has assured me that the community benefits agreement and first hire agreement information that I provided to city staff and city council, components of those two agreement documents, which are in the agenda if you all want to take a look at them. Pieces of those agreements would be included in this agreement, so that way we can still be sure that things are being done in the best way for all parties involved. So with that being said, I do want to allow other members of the committee to be able to ask questions and provide any sort of feedback.
So, thank you, AC Battle, appreciate that, and can I thank you when I think about when I was reading some of the information, the promises without accountability, and thank you for putting this in place so we know that what we're talking about, we're also going to hold that accountability. I first saw a flyer about the employment opportunity that's out on social media. Our meeting was April 15th, I think was our special meeting. I had really hoped I had heard from your mamas, excuse me, about that, so that we could also share that during our meeting. So maybe in the future, maybe they will consider coming to our meeting to share that information as well as we try to share with the community.
We can do that. I think the conversation earlier about the communication strategy is definitely something that we can make available.
Gotcha.
So you bring up a great point.
Gotcha. Yes, yes. As well as the community partnerships and what that looks like. And of course, we do a lot of events in this community, and that is a huge part of the inventory in our community. So we're just hoping to see more of that partnership as we move forward. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that type of feedback. That's very helpful.
And any other thoughts or questions? AC and Battle, I do have a particular question as it pertains to the repurchase rights. So in that type of situation, are there any parameters that can be included within the agreement that state these are the parameters as far as the cost of the property, right? Because I would imagine that, as certain things are happening, if improvements are being made or what have you, or just the cost of real estate, there could be a chance where, not saying that they would do this, but look to make a profit off of the sale of the building. So how do we make sure that the cost of the building in that type of situation doesn't become excessive?
Sure, that's a great question, great point. I think my experience in this is it's usually going to be based on the appraised value at the point in time of the purchase. We can ask, negotiate some type of rate that escalates based on current value, if you will, over a period of time. But that also means that the business would have to agree to that and something like that occurred. And they may not be in control of the purchase itself because it may be something that another entity is involved in. So that is something that we're trying to figure out the right language for that, but it's likely going to be based on appraised value with the ability for us to have multiple appraisals and maybe pick the lowest of one or two, or be able to negotiate a price based on that value of time of money at the point in time in which that opportunity comes up. So it's something that I know that they want to make sure that they get made whole in that type of situation based on just limited conversation. But my experience is that usually the owner is looking for a minimum of appraised value in those types of transactions.
All right, thank you.
I do have one other thing, unless somebody wants to go. Okay. So on the asking, the price, the $200,000 that it was required to purchase this.
$2 million.
$2 million, did I say 200,000? $2 million, I'm sorry. $2 million. That number was, my understanding is that was based on the cost of relocating special events from where they are to where they're gonna have to go and fragment all over the city. And so if let's just say that comes under $2 million, what happens with the remainder of that $2 million? Because we initially thought that those dollars were going to go into our into the CRA trust. We understand the taxes that will be collected, but also that $2 million. Let's just say that it comes under, say it's $1.5 million. Where does that other $500,000, does that come into the CRA? We'd love to have it to jumpstart some of the other future projects. You don't ask, you definitely won't get it. So just thought I'd ask that.
Great question.
Yes.
We're talking about it, I would say at this point in time, that had not been the conversation for one reason, and that is the asset, even though the city owned it and it was transferred to the CRA may still owe the city for the value of that asset. That is typically how accounting works in terms of properties transferred from the city to the CRA. So we haven't paid the city for the asset. This $2 million that would come in, the number that you're exactly right. The number is articulated was to cover the cost of moving Parks and Recs out of the building to a new location. But the typical accounting method is that if property or asset is transferred from the city to the CRA, there's usually a financial component to that in which the CRA is reimbursing the city for said value. That could happen. We're not talking about that happen immediately, because right now the CRA doesn't have $2 million. So how do you resolve that? Is it something you want to write off and do later, or is it something that as projects happen and as the taxable value continues to increase, we try to make an adjustment in our financial books to account for that type of asset situation. So at this point, I don't have an answer for you with respect to where the money is exactly going, but I can tell you that the discussions have not been to put it in the trust fund. It has been to cover costs. If there's anything left, we can definitely have that conversation later.
Anything else? All right, thank you very much. Definitely appreciate it.
You're most welcome. I have the next item too, so I'm stand right here, okay?
Okay. So moving on to agenda item 5.4, provide an update for the North Ward School. I'm so sorry. The floor is not open for community comment at this time.
Good evening again.
You back?
I am back. So, at one of the last meetings, there was a question about North Ward School and what is the status of it. We've been working on trying to figure out what is going on with it and try to figure out what's the best path forward with the property as it sits today. So, raise your hand, yell at me, something, tell me you can't hear me, I'm okay with that, I'll try to speak up. Okay. Thank you. So back in September of last year, we had a presentation before the council in which we provided an update or a status report. The building has been owned by the city for some years, I believe since 2019. So this isn't the first rodeo in terms of having a conversation about the status of the property. When I arrived in May, that was one of the first questions that the council and the city manager asked me to provide some leadership over and see what we could do in terms of positioning the property for a redevelopment project. We have already spent some dollars twice. So the second time, we spent dollars with a company called Rowe Architects to do a building assessment and repair study. And in that, they provided a lot of information about historic building attributes. They did a lot of research about the use of the property. Of course, it was a school, but provided some great insight in terms of how the building was used, condition, building documents, provided a conditions assessment, also provided some recommendations with some pre-development options, if you will, or pre-development concepts that we also shared with the council at that time, and also an estimate for improvements, what it might cost just to stabilize the property as it sits today. So we had about $200,000 in a capital improvement fund available for the project. We've spent about $80,000 you see it now has an orange tarp on it, and we put that on it to prevent further deterioration of the roof or any of the faculties inside the building. In that existing building assessment, there were some leaks that were found. So as we've gone in the building, staff and I have gone in the building several times since my arrival, and the building is actually in great condition, but we don't want it to further deteriorate, sitting there and no one using it. We put the tarp on as strictly as a precautionary option. Council liked the road architect information as provided because it included some redevelopment options that they felt might work well in terms of the opportunities that they saw between where the building sits, downtown Clearwater, and in the North Greenwood community. And one of the concepts that they liked most was a mixed-use concept, which included preserving the more historical buildings, the smaller buildings on the site, which are to the southern portion of the site, and also using the northern portion, which I believe used to be a car maintenance facility or something to that effect. That's not as historic or considered historic. Someone could reutilize that entire site, basically demolish it and build a structure there. So preservation on part, new construction on the other part was the concept that they liked the best. So I talked a little bit about this slide earlier and saying that the funds we have available could be spent in these ways. Again, we went with a shrink wrap approach for about $83,000. We also told them at that time back in September, and we had an update as well in December, and this is what this is talking about. We told them that in order for us to really solicit and get real development proposals, we need to pre-market the property. The approach of saying, here's a property available for development, give us your best shot, that really doesn't do much if people don't know that the property is available or what you have as an intended opportunity. Use, funds, is it free? Are you willing to provide incentives? Any conversations about the city's interest in the site really needs to be a part of a strategy in terms of redeveloping this type of property. So we've been, since January of this year, we've been entertaining, we've been trying to wine and dine folks who've had interest in it. We've done tours with a number of organizations, and we're gonna also do something that I'll get to at the very end in July, which we're gonna basically do an open house, as you would, as you're showing a residential property as you see around the neighborhoods throughout the country. The site itself, as you see on the picture here, 1926, 1945, 1915. The buildings to the lower left-hand part of the screen are the more historic structures, if you will. If I'm gonna call them structures, in some cases they're just vanilla shells of an existing school that is no longer being used. The building to the north, the 1926 building, is the one that has the least historical value to it. So that portion of the site is what I'm describing as what could be scraped and have something be built on it. We received a couple of appraisals for the site, and I think this speaks volumes to why this type of development is problematic or can be challenging. Two different appraisals, one for 1.6, one for 2.7. There really isn't another comparable in terms of driving an appraisal value for it. So with no comps, there's nothing else like this in the market. What is the true value of it? It's valuable to the city. It's valuable to the CRA. So really means not a lot to us in terms of value, but it is a starting point in terms of what can someone use as equity if they want to put it into a development project. If we were to give them the opportunity to develop it, what could they purchase for us? What are we willing to discount? And what might be the financial mechanisms in which we could structure a development deal? So just so you know, the property is zoned partially, it's in the downtown redevelopment plan area, which speaks loudly to historic designation. It's also in the North Greenwood area. It's one of those properties that sit like right on the edge of the two. And so we believe it fits nicely into the policies and redevelopment program elements for both redevelopment areas. So that's a good thing to have. We think being close to downtown, because that's really the southern edge of the redevelopment area, positions it in a good way to take advantage of a lot of the good stuff that's already happening or planned to happen in downtown Clearwater. So we think it's a key property for that particular reason. It sits on the main corridor for Harrison. So there should be some definite interest. We just got to figure out a way to drive that interest to the site. So development concepts. I mentioned the one that they like the most, which is the mixed-use option. This is that. So as you see, as I talked about on the northern part of the site, multi-story building and the preservation of the other three buildings as a part of that program. Some other concepts that were provided by road architects was a community wellness center, really using a portion of the site for parking, allowing folks to use it, pretty similar almost to what we have here. In some respects, not necessarily recreation-based, but a place where people can gather, but also how would you use the other buildings on the site to complement that use? So think about it as something that wouldn't be duplicative of what's here, but as another asset for the community to use in that space. Also, professional development. This is all about small office space. Also preserving a large portion of the site, the green space particularly for people to continue to gather as a gathering place on Fort Harrison, as a gathering place for the community, and also for the businesses that want to place themselves on what you could call kind of that Central Park entryway into downtown Clearwater, coming down Fort Harrison. This could be a nice place for that to happen as well, if that concept was one that someone could take advantage of. So, mention the shrink wrap. I won't go over that in any more detail, but it was just completed, and I'm sure you probably saw them installing that shrink wrap over the past couple of months. So, as a part of our marketing and positioning strategy, we really have been trying to cull the redevelopment market and historic preservation, folks who focus on this type of opportunity, and ask them if they're interested. Make them aware of the property, see if they would like to come and take a visit, take a tour. We're still doing that. And in some cases, we get crickets, and in other cases, folks are like, hey, I'd love to learn more, or I've got a concept that we may not have thought of, and are you willing to listen to that? And we've pretty much said, sure. All ideas are open at this time, but at the end of the day, we want to pick something that provides the best opportunity for a project to be successful, revitalizes the property. Once we sell it, we don't want it back. We want to be able to have something that has a degree of opportunity of success and also fits into the existing real estate market for Clearwater. When we advertise, we'll be looking for at least some minimum types of performance metrics or information to be included in proposals, such as conceptual plans, preservation and rehabilitation program, financial capacity and real estate performance, as well as a development schedule that speaks to being able to build out and renovate the property within a schedule that's acceptable to us, and not to be a sit and hold until the market gets a better opportunity. We want to see an active proposal and active proposals presented to us. The City of Clearwater strategic plan definitely mentions this type of investment being something that is consistent with that. And so I mentioned earlier that we have some other things that we want to do in terms of open house. Right now, we've targeted July 30th as that date. 4 to 8 was the date we talked about, but it's probably going to move to a little bit later in the day. It's still a little bit hot out there, so we want to try to let the sun go down just a touch, but maybe starting at 6, going to maybe 8:30 is the thought. It'll be open to the public. All right, we're going to solicit and advertise, everyone come. But our target is going to be the development market. It's going to be the developers, particularly in this area. And if we do it well enough ahead of time in terms of marketing, we hope to get some folks who will come and make a special trip here, or if nothing else, they'll hear about it and they'll come and visit us and take a tour. Shortly thereafter, we will advertise and seek development proposals. That time frame would be by last quarter of 2026, with the expectation of having development proposals received by the city by the end of this calendar year. So that is where we are with this particular opportunity. Happy to take any questions that you have.
I'll jump right in. So you said that there have been some conversations with developers that might have come in, taken a look at the property to this point. Is that correct?
I did.
So I'm curious to know, what are some of the biggest points of feedback that has been received from those developers, so that we know that we can better position the property for development?
New construction is a lot cheaper than renovation. Some of the users have not really been mixed-use developers. They've been not-for-profits or individuals or companies looking for an opportunity to get a piece of property from the city or the CRA inexpensively and move to the location. And for that purpose, do we need to save the buildings? Can we take some of the buildings down? What's the preservation strategy? And no-go points that the city has, and we've shared that this is a preservation and new construction project, not strictly a tear down and new construction. So some of the feedback or some of the conversations have been around just the general cost. Some of them have not been the right, probably don't think that they're the right fit, or it's too expensive based on their program. But those who've expressed historic preservation interest have simply said, you know, they've got more questions about the market, the real estate market, mixed use market, and would need to evaluate this a little bit more before they would submit a proposal. So it's not a no, but we like you, we just don't know how much you like you type of feedback.
And with that being said, the appraisal value and understanding that might be a bit of a pain point because there aren't any comps. How do you have an idea of how that might come together to help solidify something as far as what that property is actually worth?
Yeah, I don't believe that the appraisals were done with the appraisers not knowing exactly what the end use would be. They were making assumptions of what they could do. So I don't think that the appraisals as they sit tell an accurate story of cost or value if it was a mixed use project per se. We can always work with a developer on getting a prospective appraisal on a project if the project makes sense, to get to your point of what is the value and what could the value be for them and for us to help make a deal work. So that's something we could work through. I'm not so concerned about the existing appraisals being a negative, in as much as they're almost $1 million difference, and so that tells you a lot about the uncertainty or the lack. I'm gonna say the lack, because it's not uncertain, people are building stuff, but the lack of projects in this market probably has a lot to do with not knowing exactly what the value is at this date and time.
Thank you.
So you mentioned, you were talking about geographically where the North Ward is located, and you mentioned the downtown CRA and the North Greenwood CRA.
Yes.
So I just want to be clear, are you implying that those funds from both CRAs can go into that project?
I am not.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted some clarity.
No.
Tell me what you mentioned that. Why did you mention that?
Because it is a property that literally sits on the border between the two.
Okay.
So it's got attributes of both.
Okay.
Would be the purpose of saying that. It's complementary to the policies of both.
I got you, but it is in the North Greenwood CRA.
It is in the North
Yes,
Greenwood CRA.
confirmed. Thank you.
And you said these are just ideas, right? These are not anything, because I'm looking at Community Wellness Center and I'm just like, what are the ideas that they're thinking about as far as that when we have, where we are?
It's
We have-
literally around the corner.
Yeah.
That way.
But I mean, we have Willa Carson here, we
correct.
have the Turley, we have the clinic, like, that's like reinventing the wheel, isn't it? Or is there something different that they're talking about when they say community wellness?
I think, I'm not gonna speak for real architects. I think typical concept plans by paid professionals, they take things off the shelf a lot of times and put them in proposals and suggest that this is an opportunity that you could take advantage of. But there was no acceptance that this is an approach that makes sense, because to your point, that's the first question I raised. I said, why would that be an option if there's 3 or 4 existing users, existing operators? That would seem to be a little bit too much of that use in the area. So I think it's just a matter of they found that to be something they could fit, and maybe they were thinking of a boutique type of operation in which a specialized type of center could come in and be in that space and not just a general practitioner approach. So it could be that. So I'm not going to discount it. I'll just say that it does make you think, how could that fit in with all of the other resources that are nearby?
Hi. Where are developers hearing about this property at? Is it advertised on any?
We have a bright blinking light on our website dedicated to this particular project. We have a standalone page. I've talked about it at least 5 times with media, on the news at least twice, Tampa Bay 28 and another news outlet. It's not as if it's not being advertised. I think it's it's not a vacant piece of land.
Right.
And for that, it takes a little bit more effort to get the type of development. If our first rule of engagement is it has to be preserved in some aspect, that's something that a lot of developers, at least developers in this current market, they may not want to address.
Sure. Absolutely. Is there an asking price on it based off of the appraisals?
No, we're willing to negotiate what that looks like. So if we put the asking price out there, that may further run people away. If we told you it was free, I don't know if that makes you run faster towards it. So, it's one of those things that we need to know more. And so that's what I mean by we don't know enough, because there just hasn't been enough energy, enough people showing interest. The developers haven't come and asked some of the questions that you've asked personally. I have more detailed questions along those same lines about what would it take to make a deal, or how interested, or do you have partners? Do you have someone else that you know? I mean, we're really trying our best to market it and also use those connections for more connections and have further reach from a marketing standpoint than what we have right now.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. July 30th, remember, and you all will get invitations. I hope that you can come out and take a tour through the property, just visit the site. Last thing I'll say about this, and I'll sit down. It is as if they moved out of the building yesterday. The site is in great condition from that standpoint. There's been little deterioration, so we're excited that someone could come in and spend some money on renovating it. We believe that the value is really in the new construction part of it, so that's why we're promoting the mixed-use approach, because we think that's the one that's going to be the most attractive for the development community. So I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to talk about this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're moving into section 6 on our agenda, CRA updates. We will move into the North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area updates, the commercial grant program and residential exterior improvement grant program.
Good evening again, Vicki Shire, CRA Division Manager. I am happy for this item to provide an update on the North Greenwood Grant Program numbers as of 6/3/2026. Bear with me with the numbers. We'll start with the North Greenwood Commercial Grant numbers. So total program funds are $833,472. Approved to date is $474,516.91. Paid to date, $344,645.28. And available balance, fund balance for commercial grants is $358,955.09. That's regarding the North Greenwood Commercial Grant Program numbers. Now we'll get into residential. The total program funds for the residential is $755,136.89. Approved to date is $458,639.10. Paid to date, $397,205.21. And the available program fund balance is $296,497.79. That was it. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to item 6.2, Business Spotlight, Clearwater Brewing Company.
Shot. It is awesome as this stuff.
Yes, I will do that. So, I'd like to present the Clearwater Brewery everyone hear me back there? Showing the video, Grant video.
No.
Grant success video. Clearwater Brewery. Grant success video. We're going to just show Clearwater Brewery's success and their commercial grant. One moment, I just want to adjust the volume. And full screen.
We wanted to find a community to raise our children in, somewhat closest to Bradenton, where my family's at, and landed on Clearwater. When we purchased this place, it unfortunately fell into a derelict state. You know, we wanted to have this outdoor area completely fenced in and safe. You know, we wanted to have the landscaping and the storage building, the shades and coverings and everything. We're a small business. We knew that we would need help with grant funding. I went on Clearwater's website and reached out to your department, saw on the map that we were within the locations that were in the zone. A lot of the things that we needed to fix on this property were covered from the grant. We get to use this place to kind of be a community hub where they get to come and gather.
It's nice to be able to open with all of this stuff, you know. It was an unbilled out grant, and it was just amazing how much the grant program helped us cover things we wanted to do.
The other thing is we saw a cat.
Yes, so that is Blossom. She is our working cat, and she came from the Sarasota Humane Society. We gave her a loving home here.
We've got the Clearwater namesake. We're proud of that, and we're proud of this community. It's cool that the city gave that back to us.
Another thing that I really wanted to touch on too was the opportunity to volunteer. It was just so fun, so rewarding.
So one last question. If you had to do it all over again, would you do it?
Absolutely.
Don't want to put you on the spot, but did you want to come up and say anything?
You just should.
Or is it very optional?
Hi everyone, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I just want to say thank you so much. I know I touched on a lot of it in the video, but it meant the world to my husband and I to get the CRA grant for our brewery. We're a small business. It's my husband and I, and we have 2 little babies. We're invested here in Clearwater, not just from a personal standpoint, but also a professional standpoint. And I want to thank Ms. J for letting me volunteer at Arts for Life. It was such an amazing introduction to the North Greenwood community, and it really laid the foundation for me being here. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, so we are now moving into board members to be heard section of our meeting. So first, let's jump into, we have an update for the code overlay. Lauren, are you here? Awesome.
I didn't see her. Good. Yeah, I'm glad she's here.
No, I'm just gonna use some notes. So now it's my turn to make sure I got the microphone working. Oh, turning it on is a difficult part. There we go. So, thank you very much. My name is Lauren Matsky. I'm Director for the Planning and Development Department, and I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to provide an update, kind of last minute, to the board and to the community. If you'll indulge me, I'll touch on briefly a couple of things that we've already shared, but just to make sure that anyone new in the audience also knows. But the impetus for this request to speak to y'all is because there was a notice that was sent out by Forward Pinellas, which is an outside agency. It's part of the process of some of the amendments that I'll overview again with you. But that notice went out advertising their meeting. And with that going out as a mailer, there were more people made aware of things that maybe they had not been able to follow along or be engaged to that point. So that hearing will be part of this process, but with that, as you know, we've been trying to utilize the CAC as one approach to reaching out to the community and providing updates. So we had come in March to your March meeting, and where we talked about or reminded everyone this is a multi-part process. We've been going at this for numerous years with a lot of substantial, in my mind, public engagement, but there was a gap in that. So it's understandable that some people maybe weren't aware of everything, especially due to the hurricanes and just the disruptions how that impacted the whole community and then of course staff and everything. So what we're proposing is an overlay be assigned to the North Greenwood CRA boundaries, excluding that portion that's already covered by the downtown district. So some of the earlier questions and clarifications. So that would be called a planned redevelopment district overlay. And the reason why it's called that is it's being designed and is very specific to the North Greenwood community. So it's a broader term, but the only way that we're permitted to request it be applied is because we've done the extensive outreach and everything is tailored to this community very specifically. There's 4 actions that are part of it, and the first 2 are the ones that are in play right now. So that's amendments to the city's comprehensive plan to establish this category as one of our land use categories and set some of the entitlements that come with it. And also then a future land use map on the city's maps to apply this as an overlay. The piece that's been noticed now is the part where we as the city request that this be established on what's called the countywide planning map. It gets a little confusing because it's not Pinellas County's map. There's an organization and countywide rules that all the municipalities have to be consistent with. And so we become the applicant and request that it's there, and they review everything and make sure we're all consistent and we've done good planning practices. So they're kind of an oversight committee in some ways. So that's where the notices came out, but as part of that step 3 and 4 that we've talked about are the zoning atlas amendments. That's part of the local process again. And then very specifically where the rubber meets the road is the community development code, and that's where we've been working to determine what can go on the property, how much can go on the property, what would it look like, what would those setbacks be. So zoning is what impacts people the most. I'm using the term overlay, and I guess I should explain that that's intended, it kind of sits on top of the existing zoning. So properties are already designated as, with all of our jargony terms, right? Commercial or low, medium density residential. I yet to understand why low and medium go together. But, other categories like that. And this planned redevelopment district would kind of sit on top of it. And I want to make sure to explain, it's an opt-in. So what you have right now stays the same. We're not rezoning things and making changes that are mandatory. But by opting in, if you choose to avail yourself, or property owners choose to avail themselves of some of these additional density or other options, they would then have to comply with the new standards that we're working with the community to establish. So those parts are not set in stone. I would just, like we've discussed, in addition to not going over the portions of the CRA that are in downtown, it also does not affect the area, the small industrial area that's here. And we're also not changing areas that are designated as recreation or open space or water or utilities at this point in time. So where we are in the process is in March, City Council approved these first 2 steps, and again, that's where we then became the applicant to Forward Pinellas. If Forward Pinellas and the Countywide Planning Authority approves everything, then those 2 pieces would come back to City Council, who would have another hearing, and then we also send those to the state agencies for review. So I mentioned at the top, but though we are aware of some of the community concerns, we received a copy of a petition that was circulated in a lot of what appears to be North citizens have signed that, and that was really powerful. The statements that were in there were really important for us to make sure that we're addressing, because it's not our intent to go forward and hopefully we have people going forward with us. This was never intended to be a top-down process. So the proposed amendments, as we've talked about in the past, they're really to implement the vision, the goals, and the recommendations from the CRA plan, which the CRA team brings forward and talks through, and you as the committee help to ensure that they're implementing as well. So we're all coming at it from our different fields of expertise or passions or what have you. So but some of the pieces that were in that, there were the concerns about the density, of course, and understandably so, concerns about displacement or gentrification. Those were very key pieces that were expressed throughout the development of the CRA plan. And I think that's why this CRA plan is unique, but it's also very much tailored to this community, because there were the programs included as well as development policies. A lot of CRA plans really focused back in the day on infrastructure and development, with that theory that if we build it, they will come, and the come part was there, right? But we want people to stay and continue to be in the community and to grow with any of these other changes. So the zoning changes where we're at right now are, we're looking to limit to make sure that individual parcels, there's minimized assemblage. One of the things that I really heard a lot of in the community meetings throughout this is that I kind of use the Myrtle Avenue or Fort Harrison as the divide, right? To the west is the area that's more downtown, but also the northern part where the brewery is. But to the east is like the rest of North Greenwood, and there's a lot of residential areas in there, and there are a lot more smaller parcels. And what I heard was, let the larger development go in that area that's closer to downtown, and then let's maintain our community. Let's keep the fabric there, help people reinvest in their individual parcels, but we don't want large complexes. We don't want significant development, massive anything. And so we're working to find the right way to do that, right? Limiting small lot assemblage in the single family areas, but still expanding housing choices, because that's one approach to affordability is, providing additional housing or enabling a property owner to, right now you can do it, you could add what's called an accessory dwelling unit, but you might be able to build onto your house and add another attached unit, or if there was an empty parcel, you could maybe with changes, you might be able to do 2 or 3 units there, but that we would also be shaping it so it's compatible with the building. So it really kind of stays in that, what a term that gets used a lot is the missing middle housing. It's all of those things that used to be much more prevalent, I think, in neighborhoods where it was a duplex or a triplex. Oops, I'm moving this. One of the other pieces, because there was concerns about expansion of commercial or where would mixed use be allowed, and what we heard in the meetings mostly was how do we restore what's now called the Martin Luther King corridor, that historic commercial area where businesses used to thrive. And that, on our end, requires some changes to the regulations, because some of the things that people want to do are harder to do under our current standards. And I would say, our community development code is a strong community development code, but it's generalized for the whole city, and there are very unique circumstances here. And that the historic core, the buildings that do still remain, wanting to fill in a way that's compatible, is kind of the opposite of suburbia, which is, the other areas of Clearwater. So looking at that and the revitalization of that corridor, which ties in then with the container village, we need the incubators. If there's new businesses, we want them to stay in the community, or also have the brick and mortar places to grow to. I focused on the adding infill or new development that's compatible with the surrounding area, and then allowing the property owners to make those small incremental changes. So becoming aware of this and recognizing that there were some gaps in communication on my part, our team's part, we have sent in a request to Forward Pinellas to continue our item. So that's the formal way of saying, please don't act on it this month, but please do so next month. And that month delay will allow us to coordinate another community meeting and to have these conversations. So we're working rapidly to get a date set for that. There's a lot of things, to work around, but we're working to get that date set. And with that, then the public hearings, the Forward Pinellas side of things at least, would be moved to early July and then August. So at that community meeting, we would want to talk through kind of what I just highlighted, what we've been talking about here, but we'll use what methods are available to us to try to get the word out. I've personally spoken to one of the people who had signed off on the petitions today, just to engage and let them know these changes, and I forwarded our continuation request, so at least someone in that group is aware, and she's committed to helping spread the word also and working with me in that regard. So I think it was a very valuable conversation today, and I would just reiterate, I really appreciate that we learned of these concerns, because it's our intention to help explain and hopefully assuage those. We may not hit the mark on everything. We it's very difficult to be perfect, but we hope that we'll be able to provide some greater confidence in all the efforts that have come to place before us. So thank you for the time. I can, of course, answer any questions, or I can let you finish your evening.
I do have one question out the gate. So understanding that there's going to be, of course, ongoing conversation, there's going to be more communication and education on the topic. I think one thing that might be helpful to include in that education is, I guess, drilling down on the opt-in and recognizing that it is an opt-in process, and maybe outlining what that process might look like.
Okay.
So that way people are aware, okay, this is what I would need to do if I want to participate in this or not.
Okay,
Instead of just saying it's an opt-in process, because I think some people might not really, it might not hit the way that it needs to hit until they see, okay, this is how I do this.
Yes. And I guess one other thing to highlight is, so what we'll talk about, or the focus will be kind of bringing people to where we're at now. But we had already talked about in the past, like, where we're going is that code piece. And we're still working to refine it, but there will be the additional community meetings held as part of that, because that's really where it becomes tangible in my mind. But I understand by separating the pieces the way we did, it did provide that opening for there to be some misunderstanding or certainly concerns. That's really great feedback though on how to articulate it. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts, questions?
So, thank you, Lauren. I know this was a lot that went into this, and I know there were a lot of delays because of things out of your control. And so, and I know that I received a lot of phone calls. The calls that I received, some people, it's like, are they coming to take my property? They thought it was eminent domain was happening, that you were coming in, and I'm like, no. So I think too, thank you for breaking down some of the definitions of some of the overlay. A lot of people didn't know what that was. Many people didn't know that the community actually participated in that when you started that, some 2021 to whenever that was. I've lost track, all these hurricanes and everything. But and there's so many benefits that are going to go into this enhancement, if you will, of what this new overlay looks like. And I'm looking forward to the community meeting where we can share this with the community, and those people who maybe didn't quite understand will see the benefits for our community, and because it is unique, a little different from some of the other communities.
We also, unfortunately, late to the game, realized that project webpage that is almost like what everything we do always has somehow never got created. So just unfortunately another miss.
Gotcha.
So we were already working on some nice FAQs, and what I thought were great FAQs, frequently asked questions, kind of trying to get at that. But that's where the benefit of the letters of concern really help us, because it helps us identify right now, while we were already going to put information on, it helps us really get a feel for what those concerns were. And again, I really appreciate the time that the woman I spoke with today spent with me to talk through all of that, because there are more changes that we're going to be making to try to, by the questions that have gotten asked different ways. Because I know personally I can slip into jargon sometimes. I really try not to, but it's just force of habit when it's what you know. And trying to bring people along, I want to make sure it's as clear as it can be. So if and when we put it up, rather, if you see something and you have other ideas that may be rephrased, by all means, please email me, because I am very open to feedback and advice.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? No? Thank you very
again
much.
for your time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the things I do want us to have some time to review is we're coming to the end of our fiscal year. We're going to be having a special meeting next month to talk about the budget for next year. So I thought it would be good for us to review the budget for the current year to date. So, Ann, do you have that?
I do.
Awesome, thank you. And you want to talk about the playwright? Okay.
I'm going to pull this up. So what is being, Ann Lopez, CRA Assistant Director, what is being passed around to you is a copy of your North Greenwood operating and project budget, just one document. It is kind of small, but I will email this out to everybody. I do have it here on the screen, so I'm gonna have to kind of shift through to answer any questions you have. But this kind of just gives you an overview of what we anticipated our increment revenues to be versus what we received. And then it also provides you with a breakdown of your overall operating budget that was adopted, I think it was back in August of last year. And then it gives a breakdown of what the expenditures have been for any of the projects that we've had in North Greenwood. Those specifically have been the North Greenwood Residential Grant Program, the Commercial Grant Program, as well as some expenditures for the Container Village. So we had anticipated receiving just shy of $1 million in TIF increment revenue from both the city and the county. I shouldn't say to date, this actually takes you through the end of April. So we're a month shy, just because when I was pulling these numbers, we hadn't completed the month of May. So these numbers take you through the end of April. But we've received 1.066 million. We've also received some interest earnings as well, and so to date we have received 1.1 million in revenue for North Greenwood specifically. In your operating, we have different categories, professional services, contractual, just things that are needed for the department to help facilitate the CAC meetings, or it's more so of the operating budget to continue facilitating what we need specifically toward North Greenwood. Those are outlined in there, and I'd be happy to answer questions about any specific categories or any specific expenditures that are in there. And then we scroll down towards the bottom, and we have your general fund. We had budgeted $100,000 for that. That covers your staff salaries. So they are split between the downtown CRA and the North Greenwood CRA. Because we wanted to be conservative with the budget for North Greenwood, what I have done is I've allocated certain percentages for staff members. So not everybody is split, nobody is split 50-50, depending on how much work we anticipated each employee would do in North Greenwood. Excuse me, some have a higher percentage than others. I think this year Vicki has a higher percentage. I want to say it's 15% is coming out of North Greenwood. And then further down, you just have your different program budgets. So we have the North Greenwood Residential Improvement Program, the business, and then just different projects that we could utilize funding for. So I'm trying to keep it kind of quick. I know that we've been here. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I will send this out to you so you all have this electronic. And are there any questions?
What is public infrastructure?
Streets, sidewalks.
Okay.
Well, since I can't see it, I'll just wait until I get the virtual. I mean, I know you were talking about it, but yeah, so thank you. I will.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
send it out first thing tomorrow morning. You will each receive it. Again, feel free to give me a call. You can send me any questions. And any questions that you have, what I'll try to do is share that with the rest of the board. That way, in case any questions that you may have, maybe somebody else had as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Oh, just a really quick reminder. July 7th is our special meeting. We will be bringing forward an amendment to this current budget. There's just some things we wanted to move around, and then we will also be bringing forward a recommendation for budget for next fiscal year, so October 1st, 26th through September 30th, 2027.
What time, July 7th, you're sending that to us? So
Yes.
Okay.
I think we're gonna start it at the same time, 5:30.
Awesome. Thank you. Marilyn, I know that you.
I do, but we'll see if anybody else without.
Does anyone else have anything they would like to bring forward? No?
Okay, this is something I got on this. First, I want to say thank you to the CRA staff for extending the invite to join in for the CRA Do's and Don'ts workshop. It was phenomenal. And I don't know if any of you all were on that or not, but it was great, very, very detailed, a lot of good information that came out of that. It is very, you have to be a Director Jesus Nino to understand it all, but anyway, but it is very intricate. But we did learn some good things that we can do that we didn't know about. So anyway, I want to thank you all for making sure we were in that workshop. Also, I want to talk about the couple of the events that are coming up. First, I want to talk about the villages we talked about earlier, the Taste of the Villages. That is going to be here, though it was to be in the back room, but because we got such an overwhelming response, it may be in the gym. So if you come and you don't see it in the back, just go to the gym. That's going to be again on Monday, June the 15th, and that is going to be from 7 to 9. You get some sampling. It is free to come in for that, but there will be things that are going to be for purchase also. And that's that. I want to also, there's been some comments or questions online about the spaces in the villages, and I was just in the village, excuse me, not the villages, the village. And as I mentioned earlier when Ms. J was doing the presentation, those interviews have been done. There are a few more people who are being interviewed who are on the list, but if you are interested, please go on and submit your entry form. The website is culc2020.org. You can submit your interest form there. I know some people thought that we had already made all the decisions. That is not true. We had selected any development. There's always going to be your anchor stores who are going to be there, and those commitments that were made earlier on. So those, that is some of the things that are as of now, but there are others who are going to come on board, and there are additional interviews. We had a great interview panel, by the way, and we don't make those decisions. The panel does. So, okay. Then I want to talk about. We know that there's this discussion about property taxes and that implication for CRAs. I'm sure we'll be talking about that in coming meetings, what we look to do, because that is it's pretty scary when you think about CRAs are funded by property taxes and what that might look like in the future. So I won't bring up a whole lot about that. I'll just say we just want to be mindful of that and say lots of prayers too, by the way. Okay. And last, I want to mention, someone asked, I think it was Ms. Barbara asked about June, why we have no June, do we have Juneteenth events going on in Clearwater this year? Some of you may or may not know, but we have, I know from our governor has, the governor has created some restrictions on funding that can be used for certain things. The name Juneteenth, I guess, maybe offend some people. I don't know. I'm not in his head, but anyway, we are still doing events this year. The one, we're doing 2 events. We usually do 4. We're doing 2. One is the Gospel Experience Father's Day edition, where we celebrate faith, family, and fatherhood. And there are flyers out there on the counter as well. This is going to be great. We're going to have about 300 people. We're going to be in the gym. This is a great event. We usually commemorate Juneteenth during this event as well, which we look to do that as well at this event. So just so you know, Ms. Barbara, we will be doing that. And so, yes, so that is $25. That includes food and the event. And the other event that we're doing in June, right around the Juneteenth activities, is the Painting with a Purpose. That is going to be on Friday, June 19th, and that is going to be at Arts for Life, 1751 Kings Highway. And that is going to be a great event as well. Many of you have attended it in the past, and we encourage you to come again. And so if you go to the website, there's a link you can click on, and you can purchase your tickets there for that as well. And this is something that we invite the community to come out for. So I think I got all of them. I did.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
You good?
Well, we had a committee member step out, so can we still move to adjournment?
Yeah, you still have 4.
Okay.
As long as you have 4.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion. Do I have a
Yes.
second?
Second.
Second. Adjournment at 7:46 p.m. Thank you, everyone.